It's time for our Week 2 college football selections. We'll start in Stillwater, Arkansas at Oklahoma State. Cowboys a 10-point home favorite. This is a noon Eastern kickoff on ABC. Oklahoma State and Arkansas, both teams that impressed me in Week 1. I like what I've seen from Arkansas's offense. Oklahoma State, of course, they took care of business in a game against South Dakota State that a lot of people were thinking, including myself, that they could have some trouble in. I think Oklahoma State takes care of business once again in this game. I think Arkansas keeps it close, but I like Oklahoma State in the end. I'm going with the Cowboys at home by 4 points. Moving on now, another noon Eastern kickoff. This one on ESPN, Kansas State at Tulane. Wildcats an 8.5-point road favorite. I'm a big fan of this Kansas State team. I like their quarterback Avery Johnson, who's taking over in his first full season as the starter. He has a deep and talented group of running backs alongside him. DJ Giddens, Dylan Edwards, Joe Jackson. I think Kansas State goes on the road in this football game and gets the job done. I like Kansas State by 2 touchdowns on the road. Moving on now, a 3:30 p.m. Eastern kickoff. This one on ABC, South Carolina at Kentucky. Wildcats an 8.5-point road favorite. First SEC game for both these teams. I was a bit underwhelmed by what I saw from South Carolina in their opener. I think Kentucky, I'm a bit higher on their offense. I think Kentucky in this game comes out and is just a little bit better, a little bit more ready than South Carolina is. I like the Wildcats in a close one. I'm going Kentucky by 6 over South Carolina. Moving on now, another 3:30 p.m. Eastern kickoff. This one on ESPN2. The Cal Bears traveling to the deep south to take on the Auburn Tigers. Auburn an 11.5-point home favorite. While I'm high on this Cal team, I like some of the pieces they have. Talented running back, obviously, in Jaden Ott, one of the best in the country. And also a really under-the-radar group of receivers. They have a lot of talent in that receiving room, and I'm very interested to see how they come together. But in this game, I got to go with Auburn. I know Peyton Thorne has his limitations as a quarterback, but he's being put in a position to succeed with all of these talented receivers around him. I think Cam Coleman, the true freshman sensation, has another touchdown or 2 for Auburn in this game. I like the Tigers by 2 touchdowns at home over the Cal Bears. Moving on now, an in-state rivalry, 3:30 p.m. on CBS, Iowa State at Iowa. It's a rivalry that's been dominated by the Hawkeyes in recent years, although the Cyclones did win here in Iowa City back in 2022. Hawkeyes a field goal favorite. I do expect this to be a close game. I'm not quite a full believer yet in this renaissance the Iowa offense has had, but I do think the Iowa defense, being one of the nation's best, will do a good job in this game of making Iowa State one-dimensional, forcing the Iowa State offense to throw the football. Iowa State has had questions with their run blocking. I like Iowa. I think it's close, but the Hawkeyes get the job done. They win this rivalry game by 4 points over the Iowa State Cyclones. Moving on now, another 3:30 p.m. Eastern kickoff. This one on Fox. Baylor traveling to Salt Lake City to take on Utah. Utah is just over a 2-touchdown favorite in this game. I'm really high on this Utah team. I think Cam Rising back, Keithy the tight end. I think this veteran Utah team comes out and makes a statement. I like Utah at home big in this game. I'm going Utah by 3 touchdowns over Baylor. Kansas at Illinois, a 7 p.m. Eastern kickoff. This one on FS1, Jayhawks only a 4.5-point favorite on the road in Champaign. I like this Kansas team a lot. Excellent quarterback in Jalen Daniels, running back in Devin Neal as well. For Illinois, I have questions still about their offense. Quarterback Luke Altmaier, the offensive line obviously reworked. A new look defensive line. I know there's a lot of optimism in Illinois about this team, but I just trust this Kansas team a little bit more. I mean, obviously we've seen them do it before. They have much more experience at quarterback, at running back, at receiver, in the secondary, at corner specifically. I got to go Kansas on the road. I like the Jayhawks by 11 points over Illinois. Now, Tennessee at NC State. This one, a 7:30 p.m. kickoff on ABC. Tennessee is a 9.5-point favorite. This is a neutral site game in Charlotte. I like this Tennessee team a lot. I feel like I've said that about who I'm picking repeatedly here, but quarterback Nico Iamaleava, in his first year as a starter, I think he has a big year. I think this is a game he has a big it's on a national stage, a spotlight game to really showcase his abilities, maybe put himself into that Heisman conversation. Obviously on Tennessee you have a good running game as well. Dylan Sampson, deep group of receivers, veteran offensive line, one of the best defensive fronts in the country. For NC State, I do like their quarterback Grayson McCall. I think he has a really good group of receivers to throw the football to, but there's questions about their offensive line's ability to hold up, especially in terms of their run blocking ability. And then on defense, I think against an explosive offense like this Tennessee one, I think they're going to have to be much more consistent and play a much more complete game than they did a week ago against Western Carolina. For those reasons, I like the Vols in this neutral site game by a score of 34-14. Moving on now, another 7:30 p.m. Eastern kickoff. This one on NBC, Colorado at Nebraska. Cornhuskers just under a touchdown favorite, 6.5-point home favorite. Figures to be an electric atmosphere out in Lincoln. And there's a lot of scar tissue for Nebraska if this game is close late. I'm going to hold that last thought, if this game is close late. I'll go to Colorado first. I like this Colorado team. I think there's questions about their ability to run the football, but I think Shedeur Sanders and his receivers will be able to put up points in this game. So I think it's close late, but I do think Nebraska will exercise some of those demons and they will get the job done in a close game. I'm going Nebraska at home, 31-28. Dylan Raiola, the true freshman quarterback for Nebraska, the difference is they finally start to get over that hump in some of those close games. Now, real quick, Mississippi State going to Tempe for what is now known as Big 12 After Dark. Bulldogs are a road underdog. Sun Devils a 5.5-point home favorite. This is a 10:30 p.m. Eastern kickoff on ESPN. Unsure of what to make about both of these teams so far this season. I'm kind of optimistic about Arizona State in year 2 under head coach Kenny Dillingham, so I'm going to go with the Sun Devils by a field goal in a game that might have some elements of the old Pac-12 After Dark. Now, to the game of the week, Saturday afternoon on Fox. It's the Longhorns and the Wolverines. First top 10 collision of the season. A lot at stake. All kinds of plot lines. Should be a lot of fun to watch. Longhorns, a touchdown favorite on the road against a Michigan team that hasn't lost a home game in front of a crowd since 2019. I think for Michigan in this game, my concern is not with their defense. I think this is one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the sport. They were last year, obviously. But my concern is at quarterback and along the offensive line. At quarterback, Davis Warren making only his second career start. Kind of be splitting time with Alex Orji. And then it's an offensive line breaking in 5 new starters. You particularly have some concerns in the middle there at center. On the other side for Texas, I know it's going to be tough sledding against this elite Michigan defense, but I think the stout Wolverine defense keeps it close. I think Texas's offense with Quinn Ewers and all those playmakers is able to make just a couple of more big plays. I like the Longhorns. It'll be closer than the experts think, but Texas wins this football game 21-17 in what should be a really fun one to watch on Saturday afternoon.